Chapter 1: A Seafaring Soul Awakens. Perched on the southwestern edge of Europe, Portugal is a country that has always stared out at the vast Atlantic, dreaming of unseen shores. It was from here that daring navigators once set sail into the unknown, redrawing the map of the world. Yet despite its history of global exploration, Portugal retains an intimate, soulful character. You hear it in the mournful strains of fado music drifting from a dimly lit taverna in Alfama, where singers pour out the bittersweet ache of saudade, a word with no direct translation that captures longing, nostalgia, and love for what is lost. You see it in the peeling frescoes of centuries-old churches and the geometric splendor of blue and white azulejo tiles that adorn subway stations and palaces alike. In just 12 minutes, we will journey from its wave-battered cliffs to its sun-drenched vineyards, from the heights of empire to the quiet revolution that birthed a modern democracy. This is a land of custard tarts and cork forests, of medieval castles and futuristic tech hubs. It's a place where tradition does not stifle innovation but dances with it. So settle in, as we uncover the layered story of Portugal, a small rectangle of land whose influence once reached every continent, and whose heart remains as vast as the ocean it embraced. Chapter 2: A Land Shaped by Water. Portugal occupies a slender rectangle on the Iberian Peninsula, defined by its embrace with water. The Atlantic crashes against 1,794 kilometers of coastline, sculpting hidden coves, windswept dunes, and towering cliffs. Spain is its sole land neighbor, the border traced through ancient fortresses and sleepy rivers. Three great waterways, the Douro, the Tagus, and the Guadiana, cut west from Spain, nurturing valleys that birth world-class wines and olive oils. In the north, green hills and granite villages flourish under frequent rain, the cradle of Vinho Verde. As you travel south, the land opens into Alentejo's golden plains, a quilt of cork oaks and whitewashed towns baking beneath a fierce sun. The Algarve marks the southern edge with sea stacks of ochre, turquoise caves, and lively resort towns. Far out in the Atlantic, the volcanic archipelagos of Madeira and the Azores rise with black sand beaches, crater lakes, and steaming vents. At Cabo de Roca, Europe ends in a dramatic cape of sheer rock and salt spray. This vast coastline grants Portugal one of the continent's largest maritime zones, a realm of deep blue that still shapes its identity as a nation forever looking seaward. Chapter 3: Conquerors, Quakes and Carnations. Portugal's story begins long before it became a kingdom, with Lusitanian tribes resisting Roman conquest until the empire stamped its language and law upon the land. After Rome's collapse, Visigoths and Moors left whitewashed towns and latticed balconies still evident in the south. The Christian Reconquista ended when Afonso Henriques crowned himself king in 1139, creating Europe's oldest nation-state, its borders remarkably static since 1249. Then, in the 15th century, this tiny realm turned seaward and transformed the globe. Under Prince Henry the Navigator, caravels explored Africa, Bartolomeu Dias rounded the Cape of Good Hope, Vasco da Gama reached India, and Cabral discovered Brazil. A network of colonies from Macau to Mozambique funneled spices and wealth into Lisbon. Tragedy struck in 1755, a colossal earthquake, tsunami, and fire reduced Lisbon to rubble, killing thousands and shaking Enlightenment Europe. The empire waned, replaced by a long dictatorship under Salazar. Yet on April 25, 1974, the Carnation Revolution, a near-bloodless military coup, toppled the regime as soldiers tucked red carnations into their rifle barrels. The image of flowers and gun barrels became a global beacon of peaceful change. Democracy took root, and Portugal joined the European Union in 1986, launching a new era of renewal. Chapter 4: The Heartbeat of Saudade. Saudade, a bittersweet longing and nostalgic love, defines the Portuguese soul. It's the current of fado, the haunting music born in Lisbon's Moorish quarters. In dimly lit taverns, a vocalist in black pours out tragedies of the sea and broken hearts, her voice trembling against the 12-string guitarra portuguesa. That ache is a celebration of deep feeling, not just sadness. Family and community are central. Sunday lunches gather 4 generations around clams, roast kid, and endless conversation. The corner cafe is where people linger over a bica, debating football and politics. In June, Santos Populares fill streets with grilled sardine smoke, paper lanterns, and basil pots with paper flowers. Portugal's identity gleams in azulejos, glazed tiles that turn buildings into storybooks, from São Bento Station's murals to Fronteira Palace. They depict everything from saints to sardines, making every wall a narrative. Literary giants like Fernando Pessoa, with his many poetic selves, and José Saramago, the Nobel fabulist, challenged conformity. Over 260 million people speak Portuguese worldwide, but here, quiet pride reigns, a nation that listens to the ocean and answers with poetry. The Portuguese character blends modesty with an understated warmth. Strangers become friends over a shared pastry. Chapter 5, From Cork to Code. Portugal's economy is a tale of quiet reinvention. For centuries, the country was synonymous with cork. It remains the world's top producer, harvesting bark from sprawling Montagu forests without felling a single tree. The wine industry is another pillar. The terraced vineyards of the Douro produce the fortified elegance of port, while the Minho region pours zesty vinho verde. Olive oil from Alentejo now wins international prizes, and Portuguese footwear, crafted in northern towns, graces the feet of fashion-conscious consumers worldwide. But the real transformation has been digital. In the wake of the 2008 financial crisis and a harsh bailout, Portugal pivoted towards innovation. Lisbon lured the Web Summit, one of the planet's largest tech conferences, and nurtured a startup ecosystem valued in the billions. Unicorns like Farfetch and OutSystems emerged from a landscape once dominated by traditional manufacturing. Renewable energy is another success story. Portugal often runs on 100% renewable electricity for days, blending wind, solar and hydropower, and testing wave energy offshore. Tourism has exploded, with visitors drawn by the country's beauty and safety, contributing over 15% of GDP. Yet this boom strains housing and fragile coastlines, sparking debates on sustainability. With EU support, modern highways, and a new generation of entrepreneurs, Portugal faces the future balancing heritage and ambition. Chapter 6, Pastéis, Port and Bacalhau. Portuguese food is a love letter to the Atlantic and the sun-drenched countryside. Salt-cod bacalhau reigns as the national obsession. Lore claims there are over 365 recipes, from comforting casseroles with potatoes and cream to delicate fish cakes. Come summer, sardines are the star, grilled whole on cobblestone corners until their skin crackles, served simply on a slice of cornbread. A bowl of caldo verde, the green broth of shredded kale enriched with chorizo, embodies the warmth of home kitchens. Meat lovers will find paradise in leitão de beirada, succulent roast suckling pig with crackling skin, and in the acorn-scented porco preto of Alentejo. Along the coast, seafood reaches its zenith in the cataplana, a copper vessel that steams clams, prawns and pork into a fragrant symphony. Then there is Porto's francesinha, an audacious sandwich of cured meats, steak and linguica drowned in melted cheese and a tangy tomato beer sauce. No visit is complete without the pastel de nata, its crispy pastry shell cradling a blistered custard, dusted with cinnamon and best consumed alongside a bica coffee. The country's liquid treasures, ruby port from the Douro, crisp vinho verde, and elegant Alentejo reds, complete a table of generosity and time. Chapter 7, Jewels of the Atlantic. Portugal is an open-air museum etched by the Tagus and the Atlantic. Lisbon, built on 7 hills, showcases the Manueline splendor of Belém Tower in Jerónimo's Monastery, where stone ropes and sea monsters celebrate the age of discovery. Lose yourself in Alfama's staircases, where fado echoes off azulejo-clad walls. A short journey leads to Sintra, a fairy tale realm where the Pena Palace rises in a riot of yellow and pink turrets above mist-wreathed forests, and the Quinta de Regalira's inverted towers beckon initiates. Further north, Porto grips the Douro's gorge, its Ribeira waterfront gleams with pastel houses, crowned by the iron arc of the Dom Luisai Bridge. The Douro Valley unravels as a UNESCO-listed landscape of terraced vineyards that birthed the world's finest port. Down south, the Algarve's coast stuns with ochre arches and hidden coves, especially the sea cave of Benagil and the weathered pillars of Ponta de Piedade. In the center, Coimbra's Hilltop University houses the ornate Joanina Library, while Evora juxtaposes a Roman temple with its haunting chapel of bones. Offshore, the Azores offer volcanic drama with emerald crater lakes, and Madeira's Levadas guide walkers through a living relic of laurel forest. Chapter 8, Portugal's Hidden Wonders. Beyond the postcards, Portugal hides a treasure trove of curiosities. It is the oldest nation-state in Europe, its borders virtually unchanged since 1249, making it linguistically and culturally cohesive long before most of its neighbors. The country produces over half the world's cork, its cork oak forests protected by law, so when you pop a wine bottle, there is a good chance the stopper began life in Alentejo. In 2001, Portugal took the radical step of decriminalizing all drugs for personal use. Rather than chaos, it sparked a public health revolution. Overdose deaths plummeted, and HIV transmission rates dropped sharply, becoming a model studied globally. Book lovers might recognize Porto's Livraria Lello with its crimson staircase and neo-Gothic carvings. It allegedly inspired J.K. Rowling when she lived in Todd in the city, and parts of Harry Potter's world seem to emerge from its shelves. The Portuguese language itself offers a surprise. Spoken officially in 9 countries, from Brazil to East Timor, it is the 6th most common mother tongue. The historic Bertrand bookstore in Lisbon, opened in 1732, holds the Guinness World Record as the oldest operating bookshop. And the Anglo-Portuguese alliance with England, signed in 1373, remains the world's longest-running diplomatic treaty, a quiet pact that has endured wars, revolutions, and centuries of change. Chapter 9: A Timeless Future Awaits. As our journey nears its close, Portugal stands revealed as a land of beautiful contradictions, ancient yet forward-looking, melancholic yet vibrantly alive. It is a country where a medieval castle can host a cutting-edge digital creative, where a fisherman's chapel overlooks a wave energy farm, and where the sound of fado coexists with the thrum of tech startups. The challenges ahead are real. Climate shifts threaten the delicate balance of the Douro vineyards, rising sea levels press against the beloved coastline, and the siren call of big cities leaves rural villages grappling with silence. Yet the Portuguese response mirrors their history, resilience in the face of adversity. A new generation is reclaiming abandoned farmlands, championing organic viticulture and rewilding projects. Lisbon and Porto pulse with creative hubs, drawing talent from across Europe, while digital nomad visas invite global talent to contribute to the economy. The nation that once globalized spices and trade routes now exports its language, its culture, and its model of peaceful change. As the sun dips below the horizon at Cabo de Roca, the continent's westernmost tip, one feels the weight of centuries and the buoyancy of possibility. Portugal remains, as the poet Camões claimed, where the land ends and the sea begins, a timeless invitation to discover what lies beyond the edge.